everyone, this is Miss 1776 here. I have my fan on, so if you guys can hear it, let me know, and I'll either turn it down or tell you guys to suck it up. I know I didn't give you guys notice I was going to do a stream, and I don't know, this is like my first stream in who knows how long, but I just felt like this was something important to talk about with the Charlie Kirk assassination. So I know that there's going to be a lot of people out there who are going over the details and doing the blow by blow. And I know last time when we discussed the attempted assassination on Trump, we were more into the news. But I figured I'd like to go this time more into hope, because I'm from seeing everybody's post on Twitter, a lot of people are losing hope right now. So I just don't want you guys to lose heart and lose hope. And you know, I don't know if I said this is the My Fellow Americans podcast. So this one is, if you're non-American, you're totally welcome. But if you have a stupid opinion, shut up. No one wants to hear it. So back to this. I'm sorry. I'm lost on how to try to start this. From what I'm seeing is a lot of people are scared and angry and upset. And you know, I just want to remind you guys that you guys are Americans, you know, and these are hard times. There are some terrible things going on in this country, but, you know, we don't just black pill or doom scroll or go, oh, well, I guess free speech is dead. No, I mean, what a tragedy that would be, that this man put his life on the line trying to promote American values and died. And the lesson that some of you have taken from this is, let's just be cowards. Let's just hide. That's not how Americans are. That's not how we're supposed to be. You know, and same, there have been a lot of things like that lately where people just want to cower. And, you know, I look at the brave men out there. There are so many brave men and women out there who have fought and died or been wrongly persecuted, you know, and yet they still went on knowing the risk. And those who survived went on to say that they would do it again, because they're brave and commendable men and women. And so I do want to give you guys some words of hope, you know. And let's see, I have a couple little things that I'd like to go through. I think we can save some of the hold on, let me check and make sure that no one's missing anybody. Okay, good. Also, I've been cheap now, so I changed it to what is it? I've downgraded my StreamYard, so I know that I can't see everything. If I'm missing anything, just let me know, guys. So anyway, back to this. How do I start this? I would like to read and just to remind some of you of what our forefathers were up against, and that they didn't know that they were going to win. You know, the Americans did not know they were going to win against Britain, but they knew it was right. It was the right thing to do. And to declare independence, and knowing back then what happened to those who basically committed treason, they were willing to pledge their lives to this country, to this nation. And I'm going to go ahead and read through it, because I think it is a very powerful, it is the most powerful document, I would say, in American history. It is the most powerful documentation, I would say. I mean, I'm biased, but I would say nation-wise, I think it is the coolest declaration, you know. So we'll go ahead and read this together. So let me see. I have to see if I can still present to you guys, because I know sometimes people like to see everything on the screen. Okay, so share screen. Hopefully I didn't do this weird. Let's share that one. Okay. In Congress, July 4th, 1776. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal stations to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the cause which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience hath shewn that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to rights themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, let me scroll down a little bit. The same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained, and when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of the representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purposes of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative house repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time after such dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise. The state remaining in the meantime, exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states for that purpose, obstructing the law of naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migration hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of land. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their office and the amount of payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. Some of this is actually sounding like today, Newsom. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislators. He has effected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, given his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murder which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent. Oh, okay. Hi, Newsom. For depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trials by jury. Trial by jury. For transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our government, for suspending our own legislators and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coast, burnt our towns, Newsom, and destroyed the lives of our people. Oh, look, there's Newsom again. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy, scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous age and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation or state. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us. Oh, look, there's Newsom. And has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislator to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow their usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace friends. We therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connections between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And this is the most important part that I'm going to, that the most important line I personally feel in this, well, there's other really important parts, but this one is a real standout one too. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. And I don't think enough of us understand the importance of that line and the faith in this line. There is so much faith in this line, because there is faith that God will deliver them, and there is faith in each other's, that we're gonna hold. There's faith in this country. There's faith in God, the Creator, and there's faith in the nation. And they believe so heavily that they are willing to pledge their lives, their fortunes, their honor. And honor was a big thing back then. I mean, most people just toss their honor for, a couple brownie points on social media lately. But honor was a huge thing. I mean, that affected your children and your children's children and your children's children. And back then, they made an example of you. So if the Americans would have lost this war, not only would we not have our country, but they would have been made an example of. Their families would have been made an example of. But they were strong in faith, and they held fast to, that belief. And also it is better to die on your feet than live on your knees. And they were willing to uphold that. And I think seeing some of these people saying that free speech is dead is very disheartening. Again, like I said at the beginning, not only is it a slap in Charlie Kirk's face, but you're spitting it in our forefathers' face as well, saying that it's dead. It's not dead, because we're still here and we're still fighting, and it's not dead until we all decide we're just going to live on our knees and give up. And trust me, that's the last thing that anybody wants to do, is live on their knees. It is a horrible, horrible way to live and be burdened and live under that type of oppression. So, in honor of that brave man's memory and everything he tried to accomplish with Turning Point USA, and everything he went out to do to talk to young high schoolers and young college students, in honor of him, do not stop speaking. Continue speaking out. Evil loves darkness. And when we're silent, that you allow for evil to grow and proliferate, and we can't do that. We cannot afford to do that in this country. And we're even seeing little countries right now. And okay, so I know someone's going to sit there and go, okay, are you talking about overthrowing the government? No, I am not talking about overthrowing the government. I'm talking about free speech here and the importance of it. And I don't know which way which way this country is going to go. But I do know that we need to continue to rely on God, the Creator, Jesus. We need to keep leaning on Him. And we need to never stop speaking the truth, no matter what we see, what scares us. And I think with that will lead to, oh geez, where's my mouse? Of course I can't find it. Oh, here it is. I wanted to go into the Star Spangled Banner, but I think this is probably more leading into here. So I'm not oh, hold on. You guys probably can't see it. Sorry about that. Let me remove this. And we'll do the present. sorry. I mean, you guys can tell it's been a while because I can't even remove the proper tabs and post up the proper things. Let's see. It's not. Oh, is it stop screen? I hope I didn't just end something. Okay, there we go. But I also didn't post this out really publicly. I just put it in the Discord because I figured, I mean, I'm a little channel. All I have are you guys. You guys are stuck with me too. Let's see. Hey, Gray, how are you doing? Oh, happy! I'm happy to see you here. Yeah. Let me go ahead and post this. There we go. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and post up the other. Shoot, sorry, I'm all discombobulated here. Oh, hey, Walter. See, I knew you would come because I knew my three hecklers. If anybody's ever watched, what was it, of not Sesame Street, the Muppets with the two old guys who are always heckling Fozzie Bear. Yeah, I know. There's actually on my channel there's three. There's Walter, WZ, and Michael. So anyways, let me get back to my share screen. What was I going to share? I guess we can go into the Star Spangled Banner. So I'm going to go ahead and go a little bit into the Star Spangled Banner. And I'm not going to sing it because I know how you guys are. You guys are really cruel. And I have a terrible voice. So instead, I'm just going to read it. Because if I sing it from memory, or if I try to recite it from memory, I'm going to end up singing it. And I refuse to sing it to you guys. Anyways, the Star Spangled Banner. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? So I don't know if anybody remembers this from history. I don't even know what they're teaching in history class anymore. But this was written by Francis Scott Key, and it was written during the War of 1812, and it was at the Battle of, okay, hold on. Let me see. I think, the battle at Fort McHenry. So hold on, it was... No, Walter, I can, because the Star Spangled Banner was written as a poem first. It was first a poem, so technically I can do it justice by reading it rather than being un-American and causing myself to get, let's see, what would they do? They'd probably kick me out. They'd probably kick me out of the country if I sang that song. Sorry, Walter. See, you're a distractor sometimes. Anyway, so Francis Key Scott wrote this during that battle, and as he saw the flag was still standing. And I think that's, that's something that, how do I explain this? That's who we are. That's who we are. Even when the chips are down, when we're seeing just the most, when we're being invaded again, when we're going through war, when we're going through hardships, that's who we are. We are as Americans, and we're supposed to be as Americans. We still stand and fight. We still look at the flag, and we see the flag is still there. We don't cower. We go, you know what? That's inspiring. And I was using this to kind of, and this is a side story. We Knott's Berry Farm, they do the Star Spangled Banner every morning. It's kind of really kind of cool, and they welcome you to join and everything. So I was teaching my oldest nephew. I was telling him, okay, put your hand over your heart. And you stand still, and you, as we listen, to this. Hey, Tony, how are you doing? Oh, I'm so glad to see you. It's been a while. I know it's been a minute. I got to get on here and do this more often. But instead of waiting for a tragedy to be something that pisses me off to the point where I have to come over here. But yeah, so I was teaching him about what the Star Spangled Banner was about and what it meant, and was explained to him that we're Americans, and we always try to do what's right. We always try to do and fight for what's right. And even in times where we've messed up, we've always tried to go and fix that and right that wrong or, injustice, and to be proud of being an American, because I want to trying to foster that in him, and foster bravery. And I've talked to him about bravery, and I remember we were talking about someone who will remain unmentioned, because I know some people like this celebrity, but I was trying to explain to him, because he had asked, because my mom and I were talking about something, and he asked about something, and I explained to him in very kid-friendly terms that the person was a coward because they had ran and left others in danger, rather than being brave and warning them. And so, he asked about what does bravery mean. So I was explaining to him, bravery is doing the right thing, even when you're scared or it's dangerous. And then, we were talking about how he's brave because I think one of his cousins was like a little girl, and they were at their place, and they have some chickens, and I think it was the rooster that tried to get her, so he protected her from the rooster. He's always been like that, where he's very protective of other little kids. So trying to teach him about bravery, and I've seen a lot of stuff lately too online where they're going, oh well, why be brave? Because when you're brave, or oh, I'm sorry, they'll say, oh, there would be more of this type of hero out there if we were more brave, if they didn't get in trouble, if they didn't get hurt, if people would be more willing to do the right thing. And to me, that's not a hero. That's just someone who wants a pat on the back. A hero and someone who's brave does things like we've just discussed, like our founding fathers, like the people who've helped us, who've tracked this country, who fought off the Brits, who went to war twice in the world wars, who fought for what was right when it came to being free in the Civil War. So, shoot, I got off topic. See, this is like the problem with not having a script and just going off the cuff. It's like really makes it difficult with not losing your track, especially now, because I have. Anyways, I'm not going to get into all that. So, anyways, just sorry, guys. Gosh dang. Okay. Anyways, let's see. We're talking about bravery. Oh, okay. So, no, that's not what bravery is. Bravery are the many men and women who go into danger because it's the right thing, and not because they think that the world's going to love them, or they think that they're going to get fame or people will appreciate them. No, that's not why you do the right thing, and this man went out there and exercised his free speech and tried to foster patriotism, and that was the right thing. Even if a terrible, horrible thing happened to him, that was the right thing. And that's not an excuse to use it to be quiet. We should be louder than before. We should be, everybody should hear us. We should talk even more. We should not be afraid even more to be out there and speak, and say what's going on. So, let's see, I think I'll go ahead and close these tabs so I don't confuse myself with them. And like I said, I don't know if I said this earlier, but we are founded. We are a Christian nation. Now, when I say Christian nation, I'm not talking about like the crazy people out there who aren't even Christian, but they claim that they want a Christian nation. And when you look at what they're asking for, I'm like, this isn't even scriptural. Like, you cannot force. God wants you to come to him. Jesus wants you to come to him, and of your own heart, of your own, he's not trying to force you to come to him. That's why it says, I stand at the door of your heart knocking, and whoever opens, he's not going to kick down the door. He's, knocking, and and he wants you to open it, So, but I've seen a lot of these people who claim to be Christian, and they're like want to kick down the door. I'm like, well, not even Jesus did that, and yet you're expecting to that. You can't force someone to love, because that's not love. Anyways, and I'm not talking about trying to encourage people to come to Christ. I'm talking about literal force. I'm like, no, that's literally not it. So, anyways, I am not talking about that. I'm talking about that our country was founded on Christian values and principles. And it's in our if you look at our foundational documents, it's in our foundational documents. So I want to read these two scriptures. And so just real quick, I know people get weird. I am not trying to be a pastor or preacher because I can't. I very much, how would I phrase this? I believe in the scripture, and I know of course it also says not to cuss, and I know that I have a horrible tongue a lot of the time. And I do need to get better at not doing that. But I just want to bring up that I'm not trying to be a preacher or a pastor, because that is like, that's like the role for the guys. So that is not what I'm trying to do here. I am sharing these verses. Because for the people who are disheartened. It's Psalms 27:14. Trust in the Lord, have faith, do not despair. Trust in the Lord. And I just want to emphasize, do not despair. Not despair, guys. Let's have some faith. Let's have some trust. And then the second one I want to share is the Psalms 23, verse 4. Even though I walk through even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And I'm just trying to highlight these. I will fear no evil, and do not despair. I mean, let's not despair as a nation. We can't afford to despair as a nation. We need to be strong. We need to be a strong people. We need to be strong Americans. We cannot just crumble at some of the horrible things that are happening. We can't just give up, because that's when evil like I said, evil starts to just grow. And I know I'm just repeating a lot in this this thing. I know I'm just repeating a lot of my stuff on this, but I'm just really trying to hammer home some points. And I hope if someone is out there and needs to hear these words, that they were able to hear it, and hopefully, have received some encouragement. Because I know, what happened today was just pure evil. But on the other hand, I'm not going to also say that I think, okay, let's have a civil war with conservatives versus liberals, because I think there are a lot of liberals out there too that think that this was evil. I know that there has to be. There are people out there. There are just evil, wicked people out there who are delighting in this, and they're sick and twisted, and something needs to happen. An investigation, I don't know, but like to make sure that no one else is trying to do this. But they definitely need to be told to zip it. I mean, I do think people need to go out there and say, you know what, shut up. But I don't know. I'm in a weird position, guys. I am a conservative. I am a staunch conservative. And yet I know that a lot of staunch conservatives, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that, because they're not really conservative. There's a lot of fake conservatives out there. I've noticed that I get along with a lot of you guys. I mean, and I know like a lot of guys, a lot of people, whatever. I know that I have like quite a few. I know I have people that run the political spectrum, and I know that you guys aren't like wicked. I know none of you guys are praising what happened today, just like you guys didn't praise when what happened to Trump. I know none of you guys praised what happened to Trump. And so because I know you guys, and because you guys know me, and you guys know I don't hide my conservatism, and you guys don't hide your liberalism, libertarianism, all your isms. You don't hide that from me. Your autism, you know. So, I'm not going to get into that where I think it's this side versus this side, because I feel like we're just us versus some really evil people out there. There are some wicked people out there, but I do know for a fact, like that not everybody who aligns with a certain political group is that. And I know that there's quite a few who are just very, like I said, I know that I've already seen it. I've already seen it, quite a few of them disgusted. So I'm not going to say that. I do think that some, I feel like there's some leaders, one of them being Newsom, who is fostering and stirring up this frenzied hate towards conservatives. And I think that a lot of that, like those people are causing some of this crazy and I'm not saying, it's causing liberals to go crazy. I don't think it's liberals going crazy. I think there's nuts in the liberal group that are the ones going crazy. And then there's and then there's another little circle of nuts that are cheering it on. But then I feel like there's a bigger circle of just, there's like the normal liberals who are like, what the heck is going on? You guys are being crazy. Why are you doing that? So that's why I can't, even though I think that there are some nuts doing some bad deeds, you can't just say it's this entire group. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Here, Walter. I think you kind of said it better. You have a level-headed approach, which unfortunately hard to find in moments like this from either side. The acts of one crazy individual isn't a reflection of no one but themselves and their actions. Thank you, Walter. Yeah, you summed that up. Walter, you should come on, because then you can like sum up all my they say word vomit. But yes, so, and it's same with like and I don't even want to get into the other discussion, because I'm tired of, I don't know. I have so many friends of different backgrounds that I'm going, we can't just, we can talk about certain things, but we can't just pretend everybody in that group is, and then you can't just meet someone who's of that group and go, oh, okay, well then you must be this. But I do think that maybe, how do I phrase this? That I do think that, I do really feel like the people who are getting like, oh man, those people are evil, we should attack those people, need to be knocked around a little bit. Like I do feel like doing the, hey, shut up, that's not true. I mean, and then let's even get into this, because there's a reason why I've started to call some people conservative, because I can't even tell you guys how many times I come across someone and they'll argue with me and then they'll call me a feminist or this, and I'm like, stupid. These are literally the values I have that I'm telling you are conservative values. I literally am giving you a conservative value. This is a conservative view. This is literally what conservatives are on. And then because these conservatives go, well, no, that's not popular, and the new group of weirdos in the conservative group is saying this, and then it's just like a headache. So I don't know. Walter says, I think the most dangerous thing we try to do when we have these unfortunate situations is we try to make rational sense out of irrational individuals. These individuals aren't reflective of the masses. Thank you, Walter. I agree, because I don't think the masses are out here trying to take people out. And I don't want these crazies to be what make people afraid to talk, because when you are afraid to talk, when you are afraid to speak, when you are afraid to speak the truth, then that's when lies get in, and lies start to grow, and they start to grab hold, and they choke out anything good, and they choke out anything right and fair and just, and we see this in California, and I love my state. I really do love being a Californian. I mean, I don't know if I shared this. I'm pretty sure I have, but I don't know. Maybe I'm getting like my dad, where I just tell the same story over like 5 times, like in a row, to the same person. But I remember when I was a kid, I was in school, and there was a World Globe, and I think I was in it must have been like preschool or something, preschool or kindergarten. I just remember seeing the globe, and then the teacher explaining to us, oh, this is where we live. We live in pointing to like the North America. We live in America. We live in and we're in California. We live in the state of California. I remember sitting there thinking like, wow, I not only live in the best country in the world, but I live in the best state in the country. And then I took it a step further, and I live in the best place of the state, of the country, because I can go to Knott's and I can go to Disneyland. That's literally what I was thinking as a kid. And part of me still feels that. Knowing more, but I mean, knowing the history of California has, I mean, when we learned about California history and the gold rush, and then we learned about, that we have how we have both deserts and the ocean, and we have fertile land where we can grow, vegetation. I mean, and we have the mountains, and you can ski, and you can you can ski and surf in the same day. And we do have places where you can go for the snow, and we do have the best weather, and we do have the most beautiful. I mean, not right now, Newsom, but we do have like the most beautiful, areas, and we do have a lot of things to do that you could do on a Friday night. And really at the time too, it was like, and I had no problem as a child. For the most part, I mean, I know that I went to like a school where apparently a lot of the kids were liberal. And the only reason I figured that out was we all did like an election, one of those mock elections, and then it was only me and this other kid who voted for the conservative president. And so then all the other kids like kind of looked at us and were like, whoops, because but like we didn't stop being who we were. We never stopped being those kids and being we went and we bickered at the other kids and they bickered at us, but at the end of the day, I mean, we're kids, and it all blew over after the election and no one cared. We were all still buddies and friends, and but like there was that at one point. There was that where you could talk. I mean, my best friend in high school and I used to like get into it. I mean, all the time we would debate politics and different things that were going on in California at the time, and it just never really felt like okay, we can't do that. I mean, there was at one point in high school where I was like, oh shoot, like there are crazies out there, and this is when there was like a car wash got death threats, and that was like oh, like they're because the illegals at the time were trying to go, oh well, forget you, who are you going to do this is going to do this. So I think it was Johnny Kent, or was one of the conservative talk radios. They had like opened up, like, oh well, we're going to do like a car wash for the we're going to open up like a free car wash, and then they got death threats. And it's like, you can't just death threat people. Like that's such an insane thing to do. You can't just death threat someone because you don't like their views or you don't like what they're doing. You can't just do that. Same with this. You can't just assassinate someone because you don't like their views, because they're exercising their free speech, because we're all supposed to have free speech. And to those who think it's funny when this happens, when this happens, for those who think it's funny, okay, well, the thing that comes for one side comes for the other. It always comes for the other. Anything that happens to one always happens to the other. And I wish some of you guys could understand that, because, a lot of these politicians, I mean, one, we've let the politicians also start thinking that they rule over us. And I know some people, I can't remember which dude it was who tried to say that, he didn't like the part where in the Declaration of Independence and in a lot of our foundation, how it says, that our rights, that we have God-given rights, that our rights are endowed by our Creator. Well, of course they don't like that. And it's not because, he's atheist or he's probably this. You want to know why? It's because he wants to be God. He wants to be that. He wants to make you think he is that. And, we were founded on, like I said, a pretty strong foundation that the leaders are not God, that we only have one Creator. And that's why we were supposed to be, was it for the people, of the people, by the people. And what we're allowing is we're allowing them to start terror. We really are allowing these governors to terrorize us. We're allowing them to whip up a frenzy on of some people until they get a crazy who's really whipped up and psychotic and does something nutty. And it's just getting out there. It's getting, I don't know. I don't know how we're gonna. I don't know what steps we need to do to get back on track and remind our leaders, hey, I mean, I wish we would recall Newsom. I feel like, I mean, I'm not trying to segue and just use that, but sometimes I feel if Newsom was recalled, if we were just able to recall him, then maybe the other governors and the other leaders would go, okay, you know what, if we don't keep in line, we're not going to be allowed to be the governors. We're not going to be allowed to be in power. Like something, or sued. I wish he'd get sued. I wish someone would sue him. Sometimes I wish he's done things that I'm like going, why hasn't this guy been arrested? I mean, there's like, I feel like there's like this, I don't know. It's just an incredible things that we're dealing with as this nation, where I'm sitting here going, why are we, okay, well, there's voter fraud. Why is there voter fraud? Why hasn't there been an investigation into this? Why isn't there this? And, it's just, and I'm sure that the other people have other things that they would like to add. And like I said, I'm not trying to say that other people don't have other grievances that are rightful to air or whatever. But I mean, one, this is my channel. I'm airing my grievances. And two, I'm like I said, I'm sure there are. So, and you should air your grievances. Everybody should air their grievances. And no one, I mean, everybody should be airing their grievances. Everyone should be talking and discussing. We should all be putting this out there. We all need to discuss this because this all needs to be out in the open. People need to stop being afraid. Okay? I mean, my best friend and I, we ended up having a falling out because she ended up going hardcore leftist. And not because I had an issue that she went hardcore leftist, but because she had an issue that I am who I am. So I didn't have a problem that she was hardcore leftist, but she had a problem with me being staunch conservative. And we need to get back to that point where someone who's a hardcore leftist and someone who's a staunch conservative can be friends. And it doesn't mean, oh man, you can't be my family. I have to divorce you, or we can't be friends anymore, or we can't be coworkers, or we can't work with each other anymore. I mean, we need to get back to this thing. We should be able, and it shouldn't just be this, okay, in polite society, you don't discuss this. We should get back to a point where we can discuss these things and still be friends and still love each other and still hang out with each other. I mean, we need to get kind of back to that. And like I said, I just feel like, I don't know, like people are constantly jabbing at us, we the people, going, come on, do something, hate each other. I mean, I think that they're even trying to do that with the races a little bit. Hate this race, hate that race. I mean, I've seen people that I've cared about, and I know their politics, and they know my politics, and I know they're genuine people. All of a sudden being told that, oh, well, you're just like trying to do a CYA for your race. I'm like, well, first off, like, no, they aren't. They aren't trying to do a CYA for their race. This is like their genuine belief. They are like someone who genuinely cares and gets disgusted at evil. And second off, I don't know who, hold on a second. Sorry, guys. I'm going to have to plug this in for my laptop dies. So I did the right one. Ooh, I did. Okay. But second off, I don't know. If we do a race war, I know I'm not going to be sitting here going, oh man, I'm picking a side, because I'm not picking anybody's side here. Okay. Like, I just think don't think that, I mean, I think it's probably just a few idiots who think this, but if these few idiots keep going and saying that, it's like, it's not going to be divided like you guys think, okay? Because a lot of us have friends of all different races. So, and that's not helping. that is not helping the issue. You're actually you're detracting from these issues. I mean, we have issues. You want to know what the issue is? We have these people who are soft on crime. That's an issue. Stop being soft on crime. There you go. That is the issue, is there's a softness on crime, and it's like, oh, well, it's got to be race. Well, no, because you want to know why? If it's I guarantee you, depending on what state you're in, if you are a left-leaning person of any racial background, a lot of the times, you're going to have things that are going to kind of be on your side. But if you are a conservative of any racial background, you're going to have a hard time, And I've seen people go after Black conservatives, like really nasty, go after them, or not even conservative, just even if it's just a Black independent or a Black liberal who's not like insane, just like a normal, rational Black liberal. I've seen them go after. So I'm tired of people trying to go, oh, well, it's a race thing. Well, it's like, well, how can it be a race thing if you're literally, depending on what the person, whatever the person's views are, is what we're going to go after. I mean, that's what's insanity. And again, I think it's the leaders, it's these activist judges. It's like we just have weird stuff going on, and we need to be like, and I hate saying like we have to remind, because then people are going to think, oh, you're just trying to start like a revolution. You're trying to, well, I mean, I guess I do have the American Revolution 2.0, but I am not trying to say, oh, let's start like this violent riot. No, I'm saying I think we need to start writing letters. I mean, we need to start writing letters to our leaders. We need to be on them. You'd be surprised how much they actually read on social media. Be on their case. In some cases, boycott things. There are some times where I think like, okay, how am I going to say this if I get canceled, I get canceled. In California, during COVID, there became a point where Newsom was always a tyrant, but there became a point where it was very obvious Newsom was just doing stuff because he was on a power trip. And it was, I would say when the recall election was happening, he loosened up all the COVID restrictions. Like, you could go to Disneyland without wearing a mask. Like, that's how it had gotten that loose. I mean, there's these really cool hand washing stations, and I really get irritated that they got rid of the hand washing stations, because when you have little ones, it's like, even if it's not COVID, I mean, just keeping their hands clean was great. Keeping their hands clean, washing your hands, especially with like, let me tell you, like, I mean, sometimes little kids, it can be pretty gross. Like, I can't even tell you the amount of times my nephews and niece have either like sneezed on, like sneezed on me when they're like going to cover their mouth and I'm holding their hand, and have like sneezed on my hand, or sneezed and then grabbed my shirt to use as a napkin or tissue. I mean, part of it's my fault too, because when they'd be little and they'd be babies and little, I sometimes would use my shirt as like a tissue. So I guess that one's kind of my fault. But then every once in a while, I'm like, okay, maybe we should start carrying napkins around. I mean, we did, but napkins go by fast too with kids. But anyways, so I really like those hand washing stations. But anyway, so people were able to just kind of go on rides normally. You didn't have to do it. Well, right after Newsom cheated his way through the recall, all of a sudden, bam, we have all these heavy restrictions back on us. And some of them were even heavier than before. And so at some point, though, Californians got fed up and they started to say, you know what? I'm not going to listen to this anymore. I'm not going to listen to these are like ridiculous rules. And so they stopped. A lot of Californians just said, you know what? Then I won't shop there. I mean, there was like, same with the restaurants. There are restaurants who are like, you know what? I'm not doing this to my customers. And I'm not doing this to myself, especially after seeing the hypocrisy going on. They just stopped doing certain things. And sometimes there are certain times when you can just stop doing something. Like, there's restaurants with this, like, apparently this rat poison that you can't use, or you can was banned from the restaurants, but like they're now but Newsom allowed it as wineries. Okay, well, when that happens, then you just go, you know what? If you're doing it, you're not upholding to it. So sue him, yeet him out, do something, or just, use the rat poison. And then guess what? If he comes after you, then you point it out at him. No, you're doing it. What is the difference between my place and your place? There's no difference. You literally make excuses for your wineries. It's the same with the COVID restrictions. Why are you always making excuses for the things that you own? You have to hold these people to the same standard. They're not God. They're not gods. They're not God. They're not better than you. They're supposed to be of the people, by the people, for the people. And it's also why I wish I could get people to realize you do not have to elect someone who is a career politician. You shouldn't elect career politicians. You elect people who actually have the heart of an American. That's who you elect. And I know I'm getting off topic from the original thing. And like I've said, I feel like there's such a bigger issue at hand right now with this. And there's an issue with, like I've said, there's an issue with you this really evil, hateful desire to assassinate someone that you don't like for speaking. I mean, again, the man spoke. He did free speech. He did what, he had a little thing, his Turning Point USA. I mean, he talked to the college students. He talked to students. He was a political activist. Like, okay, and he deserved to die for that? He deserved to be murdered for that? Do you want to live under those rules? I don't think you do. I don't think anybody wants to live under those rules. Who wants to live under the rule that if you have an opinion that someone else doesn't like, that they should be allowed to shoot you? That's a terrifying thing to live. That's a terrifying way to live. That and people who think that our side's, it's not happening to our side, so it's okay. Well, it does. It happens. It will. And I'm not saying it will in a threat. I'm saying that's what happens in these things. It always happens. And people don't realize it. It always happens. It always comes. It always happens to everybody. Okay? The rule set will always eventually happen to everyone. And that's why it's the right thing and the best thing to not relish that, want it, encourage it. Like I don't think anybody should be going out and harming a Democrat, harming some innocent Democrat who's just speaking their mind, even if what they say is stupid. Like, and trust me, I know I've had my fair shares with some people of being stupid. But that doesn't mean that you should want harm on them. Like, you shouldn't want to end their life. And I don't know how to get people to see that. Sometimes I just wish I could grab people and shake them and say, stop. What are you doing? Why would you want this? Why are you happy about this? I don't know. I hope so. Like I said, I hope somehow, some way, someone hears this that needs to hear this and is encouraged to continue exercising their freedom of speech. I hope if anybody who's afraid to exercise their freedom of speech hears this and is encouraged to continue to speak out. I hope that people who think America is lost and over with hear this and have a revitalization of hope, because we can't give up. I mean, this is the only country we have. It's it for us. And if we lose it here, there's nowhere else to go. There's no other country that is more free. There is no other country. There's no country that's going to take any of us in. I mean, that's That's a given too. There's no country that's taking us. And we are like we're where people go. We're the country that people go to for freedom. And people actually want to live under our values and live with our values and the American dream. Obviously now I said American, yeah, obviously, but I'm saying when people want to live under the values of freedom and, merit and being able to be whatever you want to be, with hard work, this is it. This is that country. And we have to fight for it. We have to fight for it. We have to hold on to it. We have to hold on to our rights. And, we can't be afraid of what's going to happen. We can't be afraid that we'll get harmed if we speak the truth. We can't be afraid that we'll get canceled if we speak the truth. We can't be afraid that we'll get fired if we speak the truth. We have to continue on. We have to do this because it's not just for us, but it's also for the next generation and, even the next little generation and, whatever generation after that, we have to do it. And like I said, we can't let this be in vain. We can't let this assassination be in vain. It's murder. So I'm going to end this, I think, with the title. Let's see if I can get it. The title from Charlie Kirk's post. I'm going to see if I can. I don't want to see everybody else's writing on here. Let's see if I could do the share screen real quick. Where's the share? I'm telling you guys, I do not know how to do and handle half this stuff. Okay, let's see. Share screen. Did I do it right? Yes. No. Wait, which one? Okay, here it is. This was the live stream he had today. And this is the one that he has pinned to his page. And it says, "We don't have to live like this." And that was the title. We don't have to live like this. And then obviously the death of Brenton Emmons, Shirley, Professor, But that main part I want to focus on is we don't have to live like this. We don't have to live like this anymore. We don't have to live in fear. We don't have to be afraid, okay? We don't have to live in this miserable state. Okay, we're Americans. And we don't have to live like this. Okay. Take care, everyone, and I love you guys. And hopefully, eventually, I'll do a stream again where it's more lighthearted. I think it's probably a shame that I come on here for the tragedies. I do come on to kind of encourage those who are feeling hopeless, but I think we also need to celebrate some of the positive times too. So everybody take care, and hopefully I'll chat with you guys again. Love you guys. Bye.